I don't know. I guess I also do a lot of emceeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a lot of events. Not good at public speaking though, so.
It's okay. Nor am I. And I don't know how I found myself in this job either, because I've always been shit at public speaking until kind of like trial by fire. They put you on a stage and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to pretend. And
wait, but that makes more sense for you because you're a YouTuber, right? Like you're an idol. Like isn't the main job to be on stage? Or
I'm an idol by mistake though.
Okay.
How do you become an idol by mistake?
yeah, how did that happen?
So I came to Japan to become a voice actor, and I couldn't really read that much Japanese. So for the audition for 7分の22, I didn't really read like the information, but I saw characters, so I was like, okay, so it's a voice acting crew.
Right.
And then I got in, and then they were like, well, you're gonna be an idol too, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And then you got baited to being an idol.
I'll roll with it. I'll roll with it.
You basically went for a job interview and you're like, I don't know what the job is, but I see a cute anime girl, so I'm going to apply anyway.
I mean,
I should have known though, because by the third round, like usually in voice acting auditions, people would be doing like vocal warm-ups.
Yeah.
Everybody was fixing their makeup. So I'm like, I should, like that's when I should have known.
Dancing.
Yeah, no, there was a dancing part too. And I'm like, I don't know why you guys need to see me dance. But like, okay, weird, but okay.
I want to go even further back if that's okay. So where did you originally grow up, and then how did that go from, because obviously that's a big leap to be like, I want to go to Japan and be a voice actress. Like that's a huge leap.
Oh yeah. I was born and raised in Los Angeles all my life up until like 7 years ago.
Okay.
2016. Yeah.
Right.
And I wasn't really into anime when I was really young, you know?
Right.
But in middle school, I met Gintama.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Wait, you met Gintama?
I met the real Gintama.
Yeah, I met Gintama. And like before then, I went to like a school where there weren't many Asian people around me. So like this is a really bad thing to say, but I was kind of ashamed of being Japanese, you know. I was like, why am I not like the other people, you know, like bringing, you know, it's like really typical story, but you know, you bring your Japanese school lunch and everybody's like, ew, what is that? You know?
I feel that.
Yeah. So I was like, why am I not like other girls? And like, you know, I pretended like I couldn't speak Japanese in front of my parents and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was like shutting every Japanese aspect in my life like out.
Right.
But I met Gintama and I got into the anime culture and it finally made me like really like who I was,
Right.
you know?
Like embrace the Japanese side, right?
Appreciate my culture.
Yeah, it's insane that you say that, because, you know, you're saying you grew up in LA, which is now like, if I would think of a city that is like the biggest cultural melting pot I've been to in the world, it's probably LA. You know, LA has so many different cultures, and, you know, has it changed over like the years where you've grown up in LA, where now it's like more accepted to be every kind of like different culture and ethnicity there?
I heard with COVID and everything, like anime became pretty mainstream and
Very, very popular.
Yeah.
Definitely had an explosion over COVID
So
for
yeah,
sure.
I think like it changed a bit in that way.
Yeah, because I actually like, I think I went through something similar, because I grew up in Brighton and I was also, I think, like the only Asian kid in my school. And
Same.
Yeah, same for you as well.
Yep.
And now like Brighton is like this super progressive city with so many like different cultures. And I look at my city now and I'm like, I do not recognize the city that I grew up in. That
What was like, because you know, you're from LA, what was like Little Tokyo like when you were growing up? Was that even like a thing at all? Or?
It was a thing while I was there.
Yeah.
You know, people would have a little meetup with their cosplay community and stuff. I was there too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dressing up as like Attack on Titan.
Nice.
Yeah, and then like we would be all bloody and people would give us weird scares being like, why are there bloody teenagers?
They're just like calling the cops, just be like, I think there's been a crime.
Yeah. You guys have been in Japan for around the same time, right? 7 years?
Yeah, I moved about 7 years ago as well.
Oh,
Yeah. Back in like 2016, something like that. Yeah.
See,
So I feel like weirdly enough, like, you know, with you it's America, but for me it's Australia. Like I feel like it sounds like we had very similar kind of upbringings in that sense, because like I also had like a period as well where like, you know, because being half Japanese in a predominantly, you know, white country like Australia, even with all of like the different nationalities and everything, I definitely felt like a bit of like a weird cultural identity crisis almost, where it's like I was the only Asian kid in my school. I got bullied for it to an extent, and so I was kind of like not ashamed, but I guess like I wasn't like, upfront as much.
Yeah.
Right. About like being Japanese, which like, I think, you know, my mom didn't really take that all too well, you know. She was like, no, you should be proud to be Japanese, you know, and everything like that. And I don't think for me it was Gintama, but it was something else, some other anime, but Gintama is a great choice.
Which is insane because, you know, when we went to visit Sydney, I was like, oh, there's a lot of Asian people
There's
here.
so many Asians now.
So many Asians.
So many. Not to mention, like Sydney especially has, I think is like the biggest Japanese like group in all of Australia as well. There's a huge Japanese community in Australia now. But I feel that definitely changed over time. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was anime.
Here's a big test, right? Was it easy for you guys to find like good Japanese food when you were like growing up in LA or Australia? Because now, you know, us visiting there, I think it's pretty easy to find good Japanese food, especially in LA. Was it like the same way when you guys were growing up?
Well, because my parents were born and raised in Japan, we wouldn't really go out to eat Japanese food. You know, that was like...
We had the benefit of having Japanese parents that can cook.
I guess that makes sense, right? That's I was going for like a roast dinner.
Yeah, no, it's like the same. It's like the same for me as well. Except like, you know, if I wanted to show my friends like Thai food, they'd be like, "Oh, is there?" I don't think like Thai food restaurants was like even really a concept because we had like one Thai restaurant that I knew of, and it was mine, or it was like my parents. So
but you could have used that as the hook, right? Like to your friends, you'd be like, "I know this bomb ass Thai place," and then just invite them to your house.
If you never told that story, you could just lie to everyone online and be like, and this is the best Thai restaurant in the world.
Okay.
That was back in the day when, you know, you take your friends to try a new cuisine and like, what do you mean you eat rice with everything?
Like, you fancy motherfucker eating rice?
Yeah, you eating rice? What is that shit?
Okay, so I want to ask a question. Gintama. Why was it Gintama that got you onto anime?
Well, it was just a moment in my life where I was just like hitting rock bottom. Yeah, and you know, it was just a moment in my life when I wasn't really laughing at anything, and I was in my room skipping a lot of like school days and stuff just because I didn't want to go to school. And I was on Tumblr, and this like Gintama.
That was a whiplash.
Well, I think I know what the problem is now.
I was on Tumblr, and this like Gintama collage like just came around, and I was like, "What is this?" Like it was like a really stupid joke that was like really funny, you know. And I feel like that kind of joke was something that I needed in my life, you know, like something I can kind of laugh at, like being like what is this, you know?
This is
and
dumb, but
I started watching it, and then I started listening to Sugita Tomokazu-san's radio. And I found out like that you could pursue a career in voice acting, and that's where it kind of got me.
And then you were just like, fuck it, I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
I'm just going to figure it out.
Yeah, well, before I came to Japan, my cousin's friend who lived in Japan also wanted to become a voice actor. And so we went to a voice acting school over the summer for like one day, like a trial day. And I thought you could only pursue voice acting as an adult because every single time I would search like Wikipedia for a voice actor's name, they'd be like, oh, I started at 18 or I started after college. So I thought it was like an adult thing. But when I went to the voice acting school in Japan, like the girls in that class were like,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry about
Sorry.
that.
So when I went to the voice acting school in Japan, the girls in that class were like 16, 17. They were like my age. So I was like, you could be that young and like start. And, you know, I felt kind of rushed. I was like, I'm already, you know, behind these girls. So I need to go. I was like, I gotta come here
now.
Yeah, because I'm already late. So, yeah.
So, like, what was there like a specific point where you were like, okay, I really, really want to pursue voice acting? Or was it just kind of like, hey, this seems like kind of like a fun thing I can try to pursue?
Yeah, was it something you always wanted to do as like a child, like from a young age?
Oh, no, I basically never really had a dream. Like I don't want to make this a really dark story, but
that's humorous.
Tell if you're comfortable.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with it, please,
You know, when you're just experiencing something like really bad, when you know that there's an end to it, like it just, you know, gets better. Like if you have a class presentation, you're like, it's okay, it'll be over in like an hour. So like, you know, my nerves will be over.
Dissociate for a while.
Yeah. So like somewhere in middle school, I was like, you know what? my life is gonna end at 18. I was like, I just, you know, I was like, this, whatever I'm feeling right now, like, it's okay. Like, it's all gonna be over by 18. So I'm just, you know, gonna live until 18. And then I never really had a dream or anything, but I met anime, and when I was like 15, I was like, oh, maybe like voice acting is something that I want to do. And, you know, it really made me a better person. Like, anime really made me into a more happy and like better person. So like, I kind of want to be somebody that can do that for people who are struggling as well. So it was the one and only dream, like still to this day, that I have. So
That's awesome. That's
So
inspiring.
You almost made me cry. Jeez.
Now, you talked about Gintama 5 minutes ago. I didn't expect that.
yeah, Gintama saved my life. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everybody's like, what's the meaning of life? You know, like, why are we living?
Yeah.
My meaning of life is like, well, you know, I still haven't seen the last episode of One Piece, or like, you know,
Yeah, of
like
course.
the manga that I started reading. Like, it's not done yet. So
Yeah.
I got to live until then. So
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an awesome story, because I guess, like, I mean, in the period I was growing up in the, like, on the internet, it's like, it was almost like frowned upon to be like, yo, anime is like important to me and has done something important to me. But I think for like a lot of people out there, even if they don't like want to admit it, I mean, for me personally, it's played like a huge influence in my life, and has definitely like helped me through some tough times as well. So I think, you know, that's an awesome and inspiring story for like a lot of people to hear, that it's not fucking, you know, it is just fiction, but it can have a real tangible, real life effect on people.
definitely, yeah.
It makes me curious though, because you talked about your childhood, and like you kind of always like pushed away the Japanese side of you to kind of like fit in better.
Yeah.
How much were you in touch with your Japanese side when it was like not around friends, when you were just like at home with your parents?
I would talk like half in English and half in Japanese, and I would always call my grandma. We have a really good relationship with my grandma, so those were the only times I usually spoke in Japanese. Like, my brother and I would always speak in English. So still to this day, my brother has like an American accent when he speaks in Japanese.
Right.
So it wasn't all that much. It was like 20% of my
Okay.
day was Japanese. Yeah.
Right.
Was it kind of hard to adjust and then be like, all right, now everything's going to be Japanese and I have to fully change everything, my lifestyle, all the approach?
When I first came here, especially because, well, you know, my parents are Japanese, so I look Japanese. So people expect me to speak perfect Japanese.
Right.
But I'm here with like kind of broken Japanese.
You guys are in like a very similar yet opposite situation, because Joey is obviously very, very, very good at Japanese.
Yeah.
But obviously Hafu. So it's, I think you both have very like interesting parallel stories. with
Yeah.
one slight change that
Definitely, yeah.
makes it all
There's a
different.
lot of aspects of your story that I very much relate to, but almost in like, yeah, as Connor said, like in almost like an opposite perspective, or I guess like an opposite upbringing almost.